Here's another A2 Media Section B response. The impact of new media, using, as we agreed, YouTube as our case study. The question is, new and digital media has led to many media producers to involve their audiences more. However, audience involvement is only superficial, and media producers have ensured they maintain control. Use your case study to evaluate whether new and digital media have changed the role of producers. 48 marks. My response. This is a highly debatable issue, but one must say that, in the case of YouTube, the issue of control is more fluid and changeable than might first appear. 1 mark. On the one hand, anyone with the right devices can indeed broadcast yourself without hindrance. Within reason, anyone can upload anything to YouTube, no matter how esoteric. 2nd mark. However, there are terms and conditions on the website which state if your upload is obscene and or offensive in any way, then they reserve the right to block the video in question and, on repeat offences, block your account altogether. 3rd mark. This would suggest that ultimate editorial control is with the quote-unquote gatekeepers, i.e. the traditional media producers, and not us, the somewhat casual media producers. 4th mark. However, there are instances when this is subverted. 5th mark. For instance, YouTube user Lampyman101, aka Glenn Criddle, specialises in making videos that explore often banned and obscene films for the purpose of serious and intelligent critique of both the films and the issues they raise. 6th mark. However, of recent months, Glenn has had to use a rival site in order to circumvent YouTube's strict guidelines in terms of nudity and representations of sex in general. 7th mark. He does, however, still use YouTube to divert his users to new material he has uploaded on a rival site, using a brief video and web link address. 8th mark. On the face of it, this example illustrates that ultimate power lies with YouTube, and Mr. Criddle is often heard criticising the practices of YouTube on subsequent uploads as a result. 9th mark. However, the fact that Mr. Criddle cleverly subverts YouTube's interference while simultaneously taking advantage of the wider range of users than the site he now uses indicates that YouTube's power as a producer, quote-unquote, or at least a co-opting producer, which both uses and capitalizes on the products of others for free, is not altogether absolute. 10th mark. In other words, yes, they have power, but only to a point where someone agrees to play by those rules. Very much like if we go to someone's house, we can either choose to play by their rules because it's their house, or we can leave. So, continuing on. YouTube has now become commercial and has adverts, both optional and compulsory, appear before the video you want can be viewed. In this situation, YouTube has control and is arguably exploiting those whom upload their videos because the video uploaders themselves may not wish to have their video associated with the products and services that preempt their broadcast. 11th mark. It could undermine the uploader if, for instance, their views and opinions are contrary to those expressed in the adverts that have been broadcast before their video is shown. 12th mark. They, however, have no say about this. No doubt gave up any editorial say when they agreed to the terms and conditions of YouTube when they first signed up. 13th mark. Ironically, this phenomena of people not reading the fine print when it comes to signing agreements has become so widespread that even South Park has parodied it. 14th mark. However, those whom embrace the capitalist potential of YouTube and intend to make money, but are also willing to play the game as set out by YouTube, can themselves become internet sensations, quote unquote, and make money for themselves from products such as book spin-offs. 15th mark. A good example of this is Zoella, whom as a vlogger, quote unquote, started giving beauty tips in her YouTube videos before making book deals and earning a fortune for herself. 16th mark. However, as ever, the traditional media producers, especially YouTube, are still making so much revenue from a variety of streams, including pay-per-view, that they don't seem to mind people like Zoella from making money independently if it does not affect them. 16th mark. Another interesting issue that arises when we consider the power play between traditional and new media producers is the question of copyright infringement. 17th mark. Someone could upload a film without permission from the traditional owners, whom are usually a big film company like Warner Brothers, and they can have power for a certain time in doing so. 18th mark. However, this power balance inevitably shifts again because, as ever, YouTube can play its trump card and pull down any such video as soon as they become aware of it. 19th mark. Nonetheless, many films can still be viewed on YouTube either because the right holders are unaware of its existence on the platform, or else no longer exist, or else because YouTube is not aware of it, or else does not care, since there is little value in such films. 20th mark. However, again, there are many other competing websites which both allow and actively celebrate copyright infringement by allowing people to either download or stream films without paying a penny. 21st mark. Another point to consider would be how people can use such sites such as YouTube Downloader, and can often download YouTube videos onto their media devices to watch as and when they please, without actually having to visit YouTube's website in order to do so. All you need is the address. You copy and paste the address, and then that's it. That's all you need. You don't even need YouTube after that. This is not always successful, however, as more and more such websites are refusing to convert videos which are marked in some way as illegal. 23 marks. Nonetheless, YouTube has certainly been a game changer in terms of the traditional relationship between producers and audiences. 24th mark. However, the rules of traditional broadcast remain the same. 25th mark. There are many websites and news articles that both warn people how hard it is to make money from their uploads, but also offer advice if this is what they intend to do. 26th mark. In order to be successful, however, you still need to play by the traditional rules of broadcasting, to a certain extent at least. 26th mark. You still need to upload material that a vast majority of people wish to view. 27th mark. This means, to a certain extent, grappling with the same art versus commerce dilemma of many media producers since the very dawn of media. 27th mark. Yes, we can say that now technically we are all media producers, but the harsh reality is that if we intend to make a living out of it, then we are constrained by commercial pressures to tailor our products, our videos, to make sure that everyone is happy as much as possible. 28th mark. Some people are popular precisely because they are non-corporate, quote unquote, and suddenly lose their audience when they become co-opted by the man, i.e. wealthy companies. 29th mark. This is why many internet sensations, quote unquote, do not last for long. 30th mark. The moment you become mainstream, basically, you stop being cool. You stop being cool, people don't care, people stop watching. An interesting example of something similar to this would be Dapper Laughs. He began as a vlogger making videos expressing rather dubious views about women, but still became very popular. 31 marks. Nonetheless, YouTube is hardly mainstream fare, and many people over a certain age do not use it nearly as much as younger people. 32nd mark. To a certain extent, Dapper Laughs was allowed to express crass views about women on his uploads to YouTube. However, when he enters the mainstream and began broadcasting on conventional media platforms, such as when he got his TV show, then he accidentally gave up his free speech and freedom to express his views, however crass they undoubtedly are, in exchange for a lucrative contract with ITV. 33rd mark. However, when traditional media consumers came to understand what he was selling in his products, i.e. male chauvinism and active misogyny, then he was dropped by ITV instantaneously, in doing so becoming a pariah almost as fast as he became a sensation. 34th mark. The moral of this story is that you can say what you want, to a certain extent, and still make money if you're popular enough, i.e. have enough of an audience. 35 mark. However, should you wish to branch out to a larger audience on more traditional media platforms, then you must ultimately conform to the standards and practices of that medium. 36th mark. If you do not, then the traditional platforms will not only get rid of you, but will also make sure that they hold you up as a folk devil to their audience, which is often the very parents of your traditional fan base, i.e. teens. 37th mark. In conclusion, the traditional power play between producers and audiences are in a state of flux, given the line between the two is now irreversibly blurred. 38th mark. However, there are still traditional modes of regulation in place to make sure what you say and where you say it is restricted accordingly. 39th mark. If you wish freedom of speech, then your chances are you're not going to have a large audience. 40th mark. And that's when I ran out of time. Okay, so that was it, 40 out of 48. However, if I was to tackle the other question on that same exam paper, here's the other one I did. Does your case study suggest that new and digital media have a positive impact by offering audiences a more diverse range of values and ideologies? And here's my answer. YouTube does indeed suggest that the new and digital media have had a positive effect by offering audiences a more diverse range of values and ideologies. 1 mark. Whether this is a good thing or not is entirely dependent on one's own values. 2nd mark. Nonetheless, there are so many esoteric videos on YouTube that one cannot help but conclude that ultimately this case study offers a potentially unlimited range of values and ideologies. 3rd mark. If we begin with a basic definition of values and ideologies, that they are both essentially about what is important about ourselves and the world around us, then even a cursory glance through YouTube will affirm that yes, it does indeed offer a more diverse range of values and ideologies. 4th mark. Whether this is a positive impact depends entirely on whether one cherishes freedom of expression over traditional moral values. 5th mark. If ideologies are basically our ideas about the world around us and our assumptions based on those ideas, then we can see a whole range of different ideologies in play through YouTube. 6th mark. On the one hand, some videos on YouTube have traditionally positive values and ideologies. 7th mark. For instance, some videos merely hope to help people with information, advice, and or give instructions to do what they want to do. 8th mark. An example would be a how-to video that helps you construct a PC from scratch perhaps. 9th mark. Another might help you figure out how to get past a tricky level on a video game. 10th mark. Another still might try to educate you about some injustice in the world. 11th mark. These are all examples of traditional positive values and ideologies found within certain media texts found on YouTube. 11th mark. However, there are also some that promote discriminatory values and ideologies, and therefore actually can be argued as undermining the potential for diverse voices to be heard, especially if you don't agree with them. 12 marks. However, given that, unlike traditional forms of media, we can select videos for ourselves, then it's debatable how much these discriminatory videos actually impinge on the overall diversity of expression that YouTube both allows and celebrates. 13th mark. Indeed, it may be a case of, as George Orwell once said, that if freedom is to mean anything, that we must be prepared to hear what we do not wish to hear. 14th mark. The eternal paradox of freedom of information and expression is that we must also give voice to those that wish to both take advantage and hinder that freedom. 15th mark. Traditional media such as TV and DVD and Blu-ray is strictly regulated according to relevant media laws. 16th mark. The internet, at the time of writing, is not, but is informally policed. 17th mark. So in theory, there are infinite ranges of values and ideologies present on the internet than any other media platform. 18th mark. You can technically upload anything to YouTube, but if your upload is deemed offensive and or illegal in some way, then they will take it down. 19th mark. Nonetheless, some videos are still age restricted, 20 marks, but this is no hindrance to someone underage who lies about their age when they sign up. 21 marks. There is no way to check their age in a manner that a cinema or DVD store employee can, i.e. through bona fide ID such as a Prove It card. 22 marks. An interesting dilemma faced the BBFC in the early 1990s, before the internet became widespread. The BBFC are responsible for giving age ratings to all video and DVD releases in the UK, without which they are illegal to distribute, with heavy fines and or prison awaiting for those that break the law. 23rd mark. They were given a video to classify that featured only women's feet. They deduced that this video catered for a sexual fetish, as there seemed to be no other reason why it would exist. However, they accordingly gave it an 18 certificate based on what they perceived was its intention. 24th mark. However, now such material is freely available on the internet with either the minimal restrictions or more often than not, none at all. 25th mark. Indeed, this material is oddly widely available on YouTube. 26th mark. This example illustrates that not only is there a diverse, if also slightly odd, range of values and ideologies present on YouTube, but no matter how esoteric they may seem, it's freely available to anyone who wishes to desire to access it. 27th mark. My voice went a bit high there. Now we must evaluate whether all this equates to a positive impact on the diverse range of values and ideologies. 28th mark. Certainly we can say that the internet, and YouTube in particular, has revolutionised how anyone with the means can express their views, values and ideologies. 29th mark. Just as an aside, I'm doing revision YouTube videos on the very same media platform using technology that I could only have dreamt of when I first started teaching. Okay, that's just an aside. Philosophically speaking, however, we must ask ourselves whether this is entirely true. 30th mark. How about those whom are poor and cannot afford the means in which to feed their children, let alone try to use media to express their views, values and ideologies? 31st mark. How about the starving in Africa, or those from socially economically deprived backgrounds? 32 marks. How do they get their voices heard? The truth of the matter is that whilst the internet and YouTube in particular affords all manner of diversity of opinion, it by no means grants access to those whom do not have the basic equipment, either a video camera or mobile with recording capabilities, suitable wires, a PC or laptop, and most essentially an internet connection. 33 marks. Therefore only the privileged may have access to and contribute to the supposedly diverse range of values and ideologies. 34th mark. Before the internet, it was no better. 35th mark. If we take the starving in Africa as an example, then the limited help they got was based on a chain of reaction, but dependent on traditional media caring enough to bother representing them at all. 36 marks. News journalist Michael Buerk did a news item on the starving in Africa in the 1980s, but in itself the news item did nothing but highlight this problem. 37th mark. Lots of people saw it because at the time there was only 4 channels. No Sky TV. 38th mark. One of the people to see it was Bob Geldof, the pop performer whom decidedly tried to raise famine relief for these people. Accordingly, he got fellow pop performers to both release charity singles and also organise a worldwide pop concert event. Lots of money was indeed raised, and therefore we could say that in this technologically deprived era, a desperate value and ideology was indeed heard. However, his results were mixed for reasons besides media, and not all of the aid got to the people that needed it. 40th mark. When he tried again to raise awareness in 2005, he was up against more media competition than ever before. 41 marks. He did not succeed in his stated aim to get the leaders of the free world to cancel third world debt. Such was his mix of arrogance and naivety, he thought he could use the might of the media to bring about significant change in the life of those with no voice in the media, or indeed the world. 42nd mark. He failed dismally. Nonetheless, we do indeed have more diversity in the media than ever before. Perhaps regulation and censorship won't be able to keep up with the pace of technological advances. 43rd mark. Maybe soon the only people that could decide which ideologies and values exist will be only ourselves, based on what we choose to see and consider. 44th mark. I am not altogether sure this is a good thing. 45th mark. Maybe those that need to be heard will be drowned out by those merely wanting to be heard. 46th mark. In conclusion, it is essentially debatable whether it has been positive that a whole range of different ideologies and values have been able to be heard through the media. 47th mark. After all, there is a big difference between hearing an ideology or value and actually listening to it, let alone acting upon it. 48th mark. That sounded like a Jerry Springer final thought there. Be good to yourselves and each other. It's Mr. Kyle signing out. Boom.